Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to a video called I got my driver's license in the Netherlands. So that's an incredible feat. I don't think it's like that easy to get a driver's license over there. So let's check it out and comment, like, and subscribe.
I got my driver's license in the Netherlands.
Wow.
Goodbye, Rotterdam.
Goodbye, Rotterdam. See you later. Gosh, everyone's just already speeding. So it's been a while since I've driven in the Netherlands without the help of a driving instructor, and this is also our first time renting a Green Wheels.
And since we're going somewhere a little more interesting in the next few days, how's that for a teaser? Alex wanted to work out the kinks and get a little driving in, and there is this place that I've been wanting to go to for a really long time now. That's kind of hard to get to unless you have a car.
Do you want to tell everyone about your kinks?
Maybe later, and stay tuned for my kinks.
It's
We're
weird
gonna
that
work them out in this video.
I think it's weird that in the Netherlands there's apparently like a hard place to get like without public transport, because I was made to believe that it was very easy to get through like by bike or public transportation in general.
That's for sure.
Whoa, that sounds very
We're gonna work out those kinks.
sexy. Who knew driving could be so sexy? A lot of y'all had questions about Alex's experience driving in the Netherlands and getting his driver's license. So let's just jump right into the first question. What's driving in the Netherlands like versus driving in the US?
So I've driven for something like 25 years in the United States.
Okay.
Yes, I'm old. And I think the biggest thing is just learning all of the signs and the rules of the road here, because obviously the United States decided to go their own way versus the rest of the world on pretty much every road sign. But once you get past that, I mean, it really is just like, there's more stop signs in the United States. Here, the traffic flows more freely. There's more yields. There's more just like unmarked intersections, and you have to know the rules of priority.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot more bikes. So I find myself constantly checking my side mirror here, because you need to know, is there someone next to you? Is there someone that's going to come up on you? You need to know who else is on the road with you. It's just different, and it's just something you have to get used to.
Yeah, and we were talking yesterday about how you said you didn't think that there was an intersection pretty much anywhere in the United States that didn't have some sort of signage. And I was like, there is no way that's true.
Yeah.
And I looked up these really rural areas, areas in Texas, and they had stop signs.
Choo-choo. That's the ICNG, baby. Yeah, I mean, I just don't think an American would know what to do if they ran into a situation where they got to an intersection and there were no lights or stop signs or anything, because I don't think you learn what to do.
Yeah.
Whereas here, that's a normal thing that you do have to actually know what to do at. Generally, it feels a lot safer to drive here, but I'm still brand new to driving. So ask me in like 25 years of driving in the Netherlands, and maybe I'll give you a different answer.
Correct.
Oh, baby, we have arrived.
I'm so excited.
This is a Dutch thing. It is an airport.
It's so close. Alex has driven us to one of my bucket list sites, the plane spotting area near Schiphol Airport, which is said to be one of the best plane spotting areas in Europe.
Yeah, I think the amount of people here proves that, because it is a Sunday morning.
And it's kind of cloudy outside, like there's some low clouds. I did not expect this many people to be here.
No, and there's also a fry shop, a little fry vendor over there.
Okay.
He's got tables out and everything. This is so cool.
Is this a hobby? What is this? I don't really see the point of like skiing airplanes, but sure, apparently it's a hobby. It's like sightseeing. It's like bird watching, or plane watching. Well, of course, I guess if you're like really into planes, this obviously is going to be like a really fun thing to do. Well, it's so slow. At least from this perspective.
Okay, so before I talk about how I got my license in the Netherlands, let's just get this part out of the way. I was not able to exchange my US license in the Netherlands. You can if you get the 30% tax ruling. We did not choose to do that when we moved here for a multitude of reasons, but after going through this whole experience, you should not do that. That should not be allowed. Like, you should have to go through the training. The signs are different. The roads aren't that different, but it's different enough. And honestly, like for the safety of yourself and others, even if you do decide to do that, I highly recommend that you take a few hours of like driving instruction with a driving instructor here. Read through the theory book. It's safer for you and for everyone else. So I started off with an intro driving lesson with a driving instructor here, and afterwards they set me up with this little app to help me prep for the theory exam. And I've got to say, the theory app thing was great. It was really, really convenient, but unfortunately, if it seems too easy, it probably is too easy, because the first time I took my theory exam, I failed it because I didn't feel like I was adequately prepared. So anyway, after that, I went back. I ended up buying a different theory book.
I guess if you're also like, you're already a driver, this would be like, oh, piece of cake, I already know how to drive. But it's like, no, not really.
And I ended up taking practice exams through a different website. By the way, I'll link the book and the website that I used for practicing the exam in the description. And then after that, things went a lot more smoothly. I passed the second one like almost with flying colors. So once I passed the theory exam, at that point I could schedule my actual driving exam. So I ended up doing 12 hours of practice. I think you only really have to do like 10 if you're coming from a place where you've already got, you know, familiarity with driving. If you're fresh, I think they recommend 30 or more hours. Yeah. Anyway, I did 12 because that ended up being 2 hours a week every week from that moment until the moment of the exam. So it just felt like a good rhythm to get into.
Yeah.
To be completely honest, I didn't really have the best experience with my driving instructor.
Why?
I think you probably should go around and do a couple different test drives or a few different test drives with a few different people. You want to find someone who, I mean, you're not going to be best friends with this person, but I don't know, you want someone you actually feel like you can learn from. I think in the end, I probably would have gotten just as much value driving for 12 hours with Michelle in the car. No offense to Michelle, but I think it's more about just like, as if someone who knew how to drive. I just really needed to get like comfortable driving here. It wasn't about like learning a bunch of things. I already learned everything in the book. It was just putting it into practice and then getting comfortable with it before my exam. And then finally the exam happened, but then you have to make an appointment with the gemeente to actually like fill out the paperwork to get your driver's license. And then after that, you have to wait like a week to actually come back and go pick up your driver's license, which is echt Nederlands.
All the appointments.
All of the appointments, including the appointment to pick it up. So, I mean, in the end, I think the whole process took me May, June, July, August, 4 months.
Yeah, but it makes sense.
No, 5 months, because I started in April. So, I mean, but a lot of that was just waiting. Like, waiting for, I don't know if I could have done it faster. I probably could have, but it didn't seem that long in the end. So, I'm happy with it. Okay, well, that was just the warm-up act. It's time for the headliner.
But first, are we planning on getting a car?
Oh, well, I'm going to be honest with you. Originally, the answer was definitely no. Because I kind of just saw us as renting a car as we needed it to go to, you know, places that we want to film vlogs at that aren't super accessible via car, or go to, you know, beaches that are harder to get to, or do a camper van trip or something again someday. But the more that I started looking into this after I got my license, like the past week, I think I've really come to realize that it might make economic sense for us to get a car if we get like a cheap used car. I don't know. I'm not sure. It's something that's like sort of fresh for us at this point, but the economics of using like Green Wheels, My Wheels, or like renting a car from like Avis or Sixt, or like just using a car share program or something were not quite as good.
That's a nice way of saying it was expensive.
Yeah, it's more expensive than I thought. So I don't know, maybe we'll see. But right now I'm just sort of just seeing how comfortable I am even driving here. Yeah,
I mean, we're still in the early stages, but it also has kind of made us maybe like rethink a bit more about our home search
too. So true.
Potentially.
So true. Yeah, because who knows? We could live anywhere if we have a car. All right, folks, we are at McDonald's. And there's a good reason that we're at McDonald's, because this McDonald's is at the other end of the Schiphol Airport. So if you flip the camera over right here, you can see it is another spotting place.
Look at this.
Yeah. All right, we have arrived at the McDonald's, and our order number is 69.
Nice. And don't judge us for coming to McDonald's, okay?
No, you can judge us. You can judge us a little bit, but this is the last time that I can get the McSpicy before I think they're about to go into the fall menu. The rumor is there's going to be a McCrispy Korean, which sounds pretty tasty, but the McSpicy is like by far the best thing on the menu at McDonald's here, and I'm sad it's going away. This is the last time I can get it, so we're at McDonald's.
I have no excuses. I'm not getting anything special.
Michelle's getting the trashiest meal. It's her go-to meal at McDonald's.
Stay tuned to find out what my trashy McDonald's order is.
I won't include it in the video. It's too shameful. Okay, so while we're waiting on our food, the next question that we received was, what is the theory and practical exam like in the Netherlands versus the United States? Let me preface this by saying, again, I did it 25 years ago, so I'm not 100% sure that I remember exactly. I don't remember it being particularly difficult. The theory test here is hard because there's a lot less signs on the road in the Netherlands. So you really have to learn, okay, I'm on this road. These are the rules. This is the speed limit. And then in the United States, there's just like speed limit sign constantly, one after another, reminding you what the speed limit is on the road. I think it's because it's states. Like the rules are different in every state. So you couldn't even memorize it if you wanted to.
True.
And the other thing I thought was particularly interesting about the theory test here was you had to learn a lot about like what you can haul with your car and what the rules are for that. Like how much, like what the rules are for your trailer, or like putting something on the top of your car, or hitching a bike to your car. And I guess that's just because it's more common here in the Netherlands, but that's not really something you have to worry about in the United States. The driving exam here was a lot less rigid. It's more of like a subjective view of the examiner of your ability to actually like be a like safe participant on the roads in the Netherlands. They're not necessarily like grilling you on every single thing. You lost points here, you lost points there. The one thing I do think they do better in the US is that when you get your theory test completed, between the time that you complete your theory and the time you take your driving exam, you're allowed to drive with anyone that has a license over the age of 21. So that means you get a lot more practice with your parents. I got a lot more comfortable driving because basically anytime I had to drive anywhere, I was always with my mom in the car and I was always the one driving.
Usually so with one of your parents.
Our feast is here.
The feast is here. This is mine. There's Michelle's disgusting order of chicken nuggets.
What's it disgusting?
A plain double cheeseburger.
No, a plain regular cheeseburger. A double would be disgusting. Come on.
Okay. All right, I've got my mixed spicy, and I've got my frites sauce.
Got my nuggets.
Your nuggets that have zero flavor.
My frite sauce.
You gonna dip the nuggets in that, or for your fries?
I mean, you can put it on anything. It's mostly for my fries, though.
And the saddest cheeseburger known to man.
It is so sad, isn't it?
Oh,
Makes you wish we had a Favo Grill burger in front of us right now.
Oh my God, I wish I had their fried chicken right now. Oh.
Oh, Michelle, what's it been like driving with me?
Oh, so normal. It's so odd how like we haven't really been in the car together in like 3 years, but
well, I drove when we were in Cincinnati. Like it's not like but like
not that consistently. You know what I mean? It's just so odd how you just like fall right back into like this is totally normal, and it feels like it's been this way for years.
That was actually the hardest part of the practice driving for me was after 25 years you build up a lot of like rhythms driving. And some of them you have to unlearn.
Were you someone who was excited to get their driver's license in the US?
Yeah, I got it right when I turned 16.
Yeah, I was not. I got my learner's permit when I was 16, and then I let it expire. And then I just went and got my license when I was 18 because my family was like sick of driving me around.
When Michelle and I dated the first time, it was when we were 18. And she used to get so grumpy if she was, like, she would want me to go pick her up to bring her back to my house. And it was like a 20-minute drive. And if she ever had to drive to my house, she would be so grumpy.
Well, I had just gotten my license. I had only been driving for like 3 or 4 months at that point.
So if you're wondering why didn't Michelle get her license?
It's because she hates
partially it was expensive to get a license here, but also because
she doesn't like it.
She doesn't like to drive.
Depending on what our future holds in terms of where we end up buying a house, I will get my license eventually.
She'll have to.
It's just, there's no rush now.
If the Netherlands let you. You're a good driver. Well, this patio is really, really nice. I'm a fan, but I think that the spotting thing is kind of a bust here. It doesn't seem like they're using any, we thought they were going to be landing here, but it does not seem to be the case today.
No, we've only seen like 2 or 3 like private jets take off, but no big planes.
The other place was better. I guess it depends on the day and the weather. The last question was, how expensive was it to get your license in the Netherlands? I had heard it was actually quite expensive.
Yeah, me too.
I think that it is by international standards, maybe. I have no idea how much money my parents spent to give me driving school 25 years ago, so I don't know the comparison. I do know here, the big cost is the cost of the hours that you spend with your driving instructor. So if you're coming in here and you've never driven before, or you're really unfamiliar with driving, that's going to be the thing that makes this most expensive. But for me, so the theory exam, that was 55 euros each, so it was 110 euros total since I had to do it twice. The book that I ended up buying to practice for the theory that was good ended up being 27 euros. I'm not going to include the cost of the shitty app that I tried first that led me to ultimately fail the first time I took the test, because you're watching this video, you're not going to make the same mistake that I did.
Yeah, it's a failure.
The health declaration that you're required to fill out to get your license was 45 euros.
Okay, that's standard.
The website I ended up using to do the practice exams, I ended up buying 2 one-week passes. So that was 15 euros per week. So it ended up being 30 euros. The 12 hours of practice, it was 600 euros. And then the license itself paid to the gemeente was 50 euros. So in total, it's 862 euros, which honestly, adding it all together, that's actually less than I thought it would be.
Really? I thought it
gonna be
was
a lot
super
more than that.
expensive.
So I feel like I got 862 euros worth of value.
Yeah, of course.
Easily.
Anyways, we're really looking forward to more driving related adventures in the area. So
Adventures.
or adventures.
Yep.
So if you have any suggestions on places we should adventure to, let us know in the comments. Also, if you have more
If you have more suggestions
if you have
for
more
Alex,
questions for Alex about getting your driver's license in the Netherlands, leave those as a comment too. Or I don't know, if you just have a comment in general, just go in there and leave us one.
yeah, just leave a comment.
Yeah.
What's the harm?
Yeah, let us know what's your favorite airplane.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, let us know in the
Yeah.
comments.
As always,
wanna
thank you
know.
so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Totan.
Okay, I think this is very interesting. I think the most interesting part to me was like how expensive it was, because he was like, yes, I've heard, like he had the same mind that I did of like, I've heard like those like driver's license are quite expensive, especially I think, I don't know if like I think it's all Europe. Like I'm thinking of like, yes, all of Europe, I think, or at least a lot of places in Europe, a lot of countries, it is quite expensive. Again, maybe some places or some countries aren't, but I think most of them are quite expensive. Which I think I probably ask any European and they'll tell you, yes, it's more expensive, and that's why people tend to be like better drivers, especially compared to the US, because like people like it is an investment. It's not something that you're going to do like, oh, just because I want to. No, you really do have to save money. So it's like only being like she said, like, and also like you have a lot of like public transportation, and you have like other means to get around, bicycles and stuff. So only the actual people that really like, I really do want to drive, I really do want my car, are the ones that are going to invest money into this. So they're the ones that have to like pass this rigorous test, and they have to do like the practice hours. In the US, it's a little bit different. Like everyone, well, I mean, it's sort of like general, yes, everyone has to like drive, because otherwise, like you're just not going to function unless you have someone that's willing to drive you around, which, lucky you, but usually that's not really the case. At some point, like I think some people like wouldn't mind, but at some point people are going to be like, please get a license. I'm not going to keep like driving you around. It's like she said, like, especially like when you're a teen, like your parents are like, they'll take care of it, and they're like, yeah, sure. But once you're like 18, it comes to a point, I think, when you're like, again, around 18, 19, if you're still at home, like people, like your parents are going to be like, please learn to drive, take the car. I can't keep up with this. It's like, yes, of course, because it is quite like, it's annoying. Yeah, let's face it, it's annoying. Even if you like driving, I think like, okay, I can pick you up like a few times, but just, constantly like, hey, can you pick me up? And then, oh yeah, and take me to whatever. And then you have to like pick me up, and then, oh, I have to go out again. It's like, no, it's super annoying. So yes, everyone like learns to drive eventually, or at least, most people, unless you're like from very specific cities, which, you don't really like, you don't really get to do this, because like, oh, I have a marvelous like transportation system. I have a great, like, I don't know, I have the subway, I live in NYC, so whatever. So yeah, sure, of course, that's one of those cases. Yes, you never learn to drive, but I think usually most people like do get it. And even though like, even if you hate it, like she's a perfect example of this. She's like, I didn't like it. I do not like to drive, but I was put, like, it was a need basically, because my parents were like, we're not going to keep like driving you around, get your license. So it is sort of like a necessity, and more of a, it's not like, oh, I like it or not. We don't care if you like it. You kind of have to if you want to move around in the world. So I think that's really the main difference. And that's probably why, people are like so grumpy when you're driving. And that's why people, I think there's like, oh, they're bad drivers, is because they don't like it, or because they weren't like taught properly, which I think is a really big case as well. Because like he said, he's a perfect example. He's like, a bunch of years ago, like my parents taught me, and I took my test, I did my test, and I got my license, and great, incredible, good for you. But in the Netherlands, I don't think like people, like, you don't get like, oh, my dad or my mom taught me, or like an older brother, an older sister, like an older sibling. No, you really do have to like, you have to go to an actual school, and the instructor is gonna actually like teach you. It's not something that another person does, like another family member, maybe a friend. It's not really like that. Even though I'm surprised, it was like he wasn't like the greatest at this. Well, they weren't the greatest. I don't know, like he mentioned, I mean, because he said like, maybe he's like, I'm not talking about like this person like personally, maybe they're like, oh, I love their personality, but just in the whole like driving sort of like instructional system, apparently weren't very good. I'm wondering if it was because like they knew that he was already like, oh, he's a foreigner, he already, obviously he's an adult that has, well, not, you can obviously learn to drive at any age. But in his case in particular, that, I've been driving around like for like 20 years. It's like, oh, okay. So I don't really have to maybe like keep like, oh, you have to be like super careful about this, or hey, take care of this, because they already like, no, I already know you. So I already know that you learned to drive and you've been driving your whole life. So why would I? I think I'm just going to teach you, or I'm just going to make sure you actually know the actual like specific things of like of the Netherlands, of the Netherlands, or like of the Dutch roads, the signs, the whole like what does this sign mean, like what you should do in this situation. So I'm gonna make sure of that. I'm gonna put like maybe a little bit less of an effort into making sure like, oh, are you driving like safe, like properly? Because like, oh, you already know all of these things. I'm not gonna teach you how to park. Like, you already know how to park. So maybe I'm wondering if that was the case. And I think maybe if you were like a fresh person that was like, I do not know anything about driving, I've never driven a car in my life, probably maybe that instructor would be like more, I don't know, more like, oh, okay, so you really do have to learn. So I think, I don't know, maybe I'm just like spitballing here. Maybe that was the case. But again, usually like it's gonna be like instructors that they're gonna teach you, and if we're, again, generally I'm gonna assume like, well, they're better than your dad or your mom teaching you, because obviously they're professionals at this and they've been doing this for quite a bit of time. So I'm gonna be like, okay, well, if they said, I'm gonna trust them because it's like they know what they're doing. But I think it's very interesting, something that he mentioned is like he had to sort of like unlearn like different things or certain like habits that he got into it. Because again, if you've been driving for a really long time, for years, of course you're gonna have your little things of like, oh, I do things my way. Everyone has like their own specific way of driving. So he was like, oh, I had to like either like rethink this, relearn, or take out like, oh, I have to like get out of like this mindset, because now we're in a different place and we are not, the things that I used to do, like maybe back in the US, like I can't do that here, or maybe some things that you didn't do over there, like you have to do here. So you really do find it interesting that he was like, I really did have to like unlearn certain habits that I fell into it, because it's like, yes, of course, it's normal, again, because you've been driving like your whole life, like the years that you've driven, like they'll gonna make you like a very specific type of driver. Anyone has their little own like little things that apparently and if you move, obviously you move to a different country, like, oh, things are different over here, so I'm gonna have to like start learning how they do things over there. The cost, I do think like he was like, it's not as bad as I thought. I'm like, okay, I don't know if I agree. I really do think it's expensive. Could it be more expensive? Well, yes, but I think a lot of things could be more expensive. I think like what he means, maybe he was expecting up to like around 1,000, and maybe like, oh, it was less than 1,000, so I take that as a win. It's not the fact, because obviously like, oh, the books and the test and the actual, I think it's funny because the actual cost of the driver's license, like the actual cost that you have to like pay the government, or the equivalent of the DMV, like it's just like 50 euros, which is like so funny that it's like, okay, that's really like the one of the least like few, like it's such a few. If you're like the amount is such a like few and less than compared to this, I think it was like 600 euros that he spent in the actual lessons. So it is very funny that the actual sort of like the little like thing, I don't know if it's digital over there or they actually like they'll give you like a physical license, is like that cost me like 50 euros and the other things are like way more expensive, the test, the trial, the actual app that apparently was a flop, and the other things are like way more expensive, which is really funny. It's like, okay, so it's the other things that surround the license that are gonna actually cost you money. The actual license itself, like it's not gonna be that expensive. And the whole medical sort of like test that you have to do, I don't really know how it is over there. Like a doctor checks you out and says like, oh, yeah, you're good to go. You're good to go. Or you have to like take, the thing, you have to go to a private consultation or something. Maybe over there is public. I have no idea. And you sort of like go, and then you like they'll give you like a clean bill of health, and then you have to like take that to like whatever it is in charge and be like, yes, give me my license. Even that was like I think 30 or something, 30 or even maybe again like around 50. So it is really funny that it's like, okay, that's the most expensive part is the actual lessons. And he said it like, it took 12 hours. I'm wondering like, well, I'm not wondering, I guess there's gonna be a minimum sort of like amount of hours that you can actually like do, maybe. I think like if I'm maybe I'm totally off with this, but I would guess there's like, oh, in order for you to like pass this test, you need to have approved like, I don't know, 5 hours, 6 hours, whatever it is. And that's like the minimum. If you want to obviously, because I feel more comfortable, driving around like a little bit more, well, that's on you. But I think in order for you to like pass, we need you to do like this minimum. So I'm wondering if it's gotta be like that, right? Like I'm trying to think of like the alternative, and I'm coming up short. I'm like, I have no idea what else could it be. So yeah, there's gotta be like a minimum of hours that they'll allow you to. What's the minimum of hours I can take in order for you to like approve this? It's like maybe I would say 6, maybe, although 6 seems like not that big. Like it's just like it's very little. I think 6 hours seems short. Although it's funny because it was like, oh, around 30 hours. It's like, yeah, when you're saying like this, like 30 hours. Oh my god, like that's such a long time. But once you actually take into account, like, no, if you're actually thinking how many hours you actually got, if you didn't actually took lessons and someone taught you, it's like, oh, well, yeah, probably it was around 30 hours, but you weren't counting them as like, oh, because obviously it wasn't like a driving instructor telling you, hey, like lessons done. And you actually like schedule the thing of like, oh, 3 days a week or, once a week, whatever it is that you're taking. So it's like, oh yeah, actually 30, like again, when you're telling me and it's like, oh my God, that's like so much. But then it's like, oh no, let's think about this. It's actually quite normal. I think it's quite, I think it's just normal. I think around maybe like between 20 and 30, I think maybe would be the rule, right? Like maybe a couple of times a week, like 3 hours a week, and you do that like 4 weeks, for a whole month. That's like 12 hours. So it's like that's like short. So you're not going to be able to drive in just 1 month. No, well, technically yes, but the actual like driving around, actually in a highway, or knowing like the actual, these are the signs and stuff. I think that takes you like a little bit more time, even though you're like, oh, I'm feeling comfortable in my car. But it's like, yeah, well, how comfortable are you when you're like someone's speeding in the highway, or I don't know, you're encountering like a situation on the road of like, oh my God, what I should do. Is like those things later, like they come out like pretty automatically, like later on. But when you're first learning, you're like, oh my God, what do I do now? So I think you definitely need more than 12 hours. And like he said, well, he was like doing it not actually like three hours like weekly, which I think is like, it did that to me. I think it seems like the logical sort of like choice. Let's just like do it 3 hours a week, because it's like, well, when you sort of like do it on Monday, on Wednesday, and on Friday. And I think that again, that seems like good to me, because it's like, oh, it's fresh. It's still something that's fresh in your mind. But again, maybe if you're having like, like his case of like, I already know how to drive, like I'm not gonna forget just because I do this once a week. It's like, yeah, well, I think once you already know how to drive, it's a bit different, because like the rules change a little bit. But if you're like fresh, and if you do not know how to drive, you've never gotten behind the wheel, I would advise Monday, Wednesday, and Friday seems like appropriate, like the appropriate time, because it's like, yes, it's still fresh. I can still sort of like do this, and I'm not gonna forget how to actually do things, how to turn your car on, which, obviously it's not gonna happen, but especially if you have like a manual car, which I think is all Europe. Like, yes, you need to actually learn how to like do the shifts and stuff. But yes, that was it for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.